My artist career started when I was an undergraduate student in Massachusetts at UMass, and I graduated in 2014 and continued on with my practice. Lived in Lowell for a while, moved to Boston, and decided to really pursue my career. So I applied to a bunch of graduate schools, and I ended up going to MassArt, Mass College of Art and Design. And after that, I moved to New York, and now I'm living in New York. I'm still an artist, yeah. The artist Anselm Kiefer is one of my biggest inspirations. Next to his work would have to be Jack Whitten, and I really adore Mark Bradford's work a lot. I'm also really inspired by philosophy. Yeah. And I've been reading a lot of Deleuze, and Deleuze and Guattari's essay on the Rhizome has been one of the forefront inspirations for my work in the past year. And the last time I was here in Iceland doing residency, I made my work completely around that idea of the rhizome, and a lot of other French philosophy inspires me, like Merleau-Ponty's phenomenology, perception, different scientific theories like string theory. I look at a lot of scientific inspiration, like Neil deGrasse Tyson. I listen to his podcast Star Talk all the time, so I kind of pull from a lot of different aspects of like how art meets science. And I think Jack Whitten, one of my inspirations, painter, he made a lot of work that also dealt with this meeting of art and science. So I think that's my realm right now. So the last time I did my residency here, I was working with this idea of the rhizome and this interconnectivity. And I've been thinking a lot about the Anthropocene, where humans become part of the archaeology into the landscape through time. And I really wanted to come back because these are really kind of sublime ideas. And I started out my career in undergraduate as a landscape painter. And so a lot of different aspects of Iceland, like the landscape, the mountains, like how small you feel when you're here. There are a lot of things that drew me back and made me want to work here again. So I guess my New York influence would mostly still be landscape. It's a different kind of landscape, but it reaches on that idea of the Anthropocene. And if you were to walk around Manhattan, you get to see the skyscrapers, they're sublime in themselves almost. And the way that they're all covered in windows sort of acts like a mirror to the sky and everything that's going on around them. And this idea of reflectivity or folding or some sort of symmetrical mirror is a really common theme in my work. I think that has a lot to do with living in New York and being around that kind of landscape. Yeah. I think that the strange element is the human. I know that humans derived from like the kind of life that we see all around us. We share the same kind of DNA, but we have influenced the landscape in a way that nothing else really has. And so I thought of strange also in terms of otherness. And when I come into the landscape here in Iceland and I'm surrounded by the mountains, and we went on a hike to a waterfall across town into the valleys for a few hours, you just feel so small, and that sense of otherness really overwhelms you in that kind of serene place. And I was thinking a lot about layering and strata formations, the lines in the mountains, and I thought well, I really don't fit into this place. But apparently I'm made up of the same stuff, so that's kind of how the title came along. Before I came, I had some sort of idea of what I would be working on. I brought a lot of ideas with me, and the piece on the back wall is the first piece that I made while I was here, and it is basically me unpacking all of this stuff that I brought with me, all these thoughts, and a lot of comparing this place to New York and comparing this place to the last time I was here, my experiences and my memories. But then I think that it was a little bit more organic afterwards in the way that it developed, and seeing the architecture here is so different. And yeah, so I had a few ideas, but I didn't know necessarily what anything would come out looking like. Just thoughts and experiences. And I work on multiple size pieces. Most of my works are large scale, and I think it's because I'm more comfortable using my arms and getting at this idea of the sublime or the bigger than you. I really want these pieces to kind of aggressively confront people. And scale is one of those things that the viewer has to move their body to see the entire thing. You have to back up, you have to come close and move left and right, and I really like the influence that the work can have over the viewer to physically make the viewer move their body. But I do a lot of sketches and small paintings and things of multiple scales while I'm working on these too. So I usually work in oil paint, and I mix printmaking in with the painting on different layers. But I didn't bring any oil paint with me this time, just acrylic paint. I thought it would be good to get back into basics and just work a lot black and white, a lot of drawing methods, and the print processes that I'm using this time is one that I kind of created, some technique that I made up last time I was here, and that's the ink that's on the paper pieces that are collaged onto the large format pieces. And then there's a black and white acrylic paint method that I've been using directly on the paper. And I lay down the ink or the paint on plastic, and then I press it with my hands into the paper. Well, after this, I'm going to go back home to New York and keep working in my studio. But I really hope to be back here, maybe for an extended period of time next time, to really dig in and do some research here, because I think that Iceland has a lot for me in terms of my work and where it needs to go and its development. There's a lot left to explore here. Yeah. The hardest part about being an artist, that's every part, maybe. Probably making the work, but it's also the easiest part too. Yeah. I don't want to say finding the time to make the work, because you can always find the time, you know. But making it, I think, and going through the failure to get to the success. That's hard, yeah.